Court will come to order. It is Monday, October the 18th, 2021. It's 9 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, you did very close to morning. And the Pierce County Commissioners Board is in session in a workshop regarding grant works and the ARPA grant. And if you would identify yourself, so everybody will know who you are.
Yes, my name is Lori Gelson, and I'm from GrantWorks.
And very good.
I'm your project manager.
Okay. Now, before she begins, I want to remind everybody that we have an open position that has been posted here at the county for a grant administrator, and we welcome all applications. This is something that we want to get on to as quickly as possible. We need a point person to be able to work with GrantWorks. And for those of you that are unaware of it, the salary range is close to 54 something to up to 59,000, which is this is a good position. So I just put that out there because I'm eager for applications. Ms. Gelson.
All right, so where do we start? Let's see. You, Kerr County, received how much money so far were you allocated?
Well, we've been allocated 10.2 million.
That's a nice healthy number, isn't it?
And
Which you got half.
We have half that in the bank.
And the other half will come next summer.
Yes.
Okay, that's how they've trenched it out. And so what that means is 10.2 million you have to spend. And of course, this isn't like a regular grant where you have to apply for it and then get it and meet certain milestones throughout the grant life. This is funding that came through the CARES Act that was signed in law on March 10th, I want to say, of this year. And it gave every city and every county in the United States a certain amount of money based on your population. Okay? So you were given 10.2 million based on your population, of which you have to obligate your funds by the end of 2024, and any work that's being done has to be completed in full by the end 12/31/2026. Okay? So that's our time frame. You can spend your funds on four different categories. Number one is public health. By the way, all of these except for infrastructure need to tie back to COVID-19 because that's really the reason why we received the funding was because of the pandemic. So public health is one. And I have a document here. I just have one copy. Is there any way that we could get more copies for our commissioners? It pretty much tells us, it just gives you a whole list of ideas per those four categories, okay? For instance, public health would be testing, vaccine clinics, contact tracing, prevention in congregate settings. Like some of my projects, some of my counties are, have a lot older county courthouses than this one, and they're redoing a lot of the filtration systems, the chillers and filtrations because they're not adequate anymore. So they've decided to do that. Some people are doing nursing homes. They're building on to buildings. They're making them larger. Healthcare, any kind of prisons, jails, any kind of dense work sites that you have would be considered something that you could look at. Schools, although I think the schools have already received their own set of funding, so you might want to look at places that haven't been funded.
Question.
Yes.
You mentioned things like nursing homes. How does a government fund a private entity? I don't understand how.
Well, they're not. They're funding you.
But if the county owns no nursing homes. No.
Okay. Well then move on.
Okay, so it has to be a county-owned facility.
Well, either that and I'll get to that. It's a really good question, and so I'm going to answer that in a minute.
Okay.
So let's preface this by saying county-owned
Okay.
at this level, okay? Some people don't have hospitals in their county. They're owned by the city or they're owned by a different county next door or something. Then that really doesn't apply to them either. Any nonprofits, individuals, small businesses, nonprofits, county buildings, county institutions such as sheriffs and hospitals, if you've got that, if you have senior facilities, if you've got that, whatever may apply to you, because you're all different, that's what you want to look at.
Now, is this only for mitigation in those places, or would that also pertain to an old building that cannot be retrofitted to build a new building?
Yeah, it can, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so again, there's 12 different categories under just public health. So vaccination, testing, tracing, prevention in congregate settings, personal protective, equipment, medical expenses like alternative care facilities, capital investments, which is what you're talking about, or physical plant changes to something that's existing, refurbishments. Any kind of COVID public health emergency. People, I know a county that's building a library, and in the library, they needed a library, but in the library they're putting testing facilities, and so it's going through because it can tie directly back to COVID. So it becomes an educational center on COVID and what's happened in their particular county, and then they've got testing facilities inside, rooms, education rooms that they're gonna open up for testing.
So is the whole library being paid for this?
Yeah,
Or only
yeah.
the testing side?
Yeah, the whole library is being paid. Other COVID-19 public health expenses, including communications. I know people who have decided their sheriff's equipment, their sheriff cars are not equipped with the correct radios. And so they're going in and retrofitting all the radios and upgrading them to match or to connect to, and I'm not sure how that all works, but to connect to the EMS system. So that's a police car that they're having going in and redoing all the IT, all the communications. Your communications in-house here, all of your county communications can be updated. Software, hardware, laptops, desktops, out in the field, whatever you need to make it so that if there is an emergency, you've got the equipment to handle it. Payroll costs for public health, safety, and other public sector staff responding to COVID. So let's say you have this person that you're hiring for, and let's say you decide on $55,000 as this project manager. Yes. Front and back, yeah. And so you want to write that expense off, you can do that to COVID.
Say that again, I'm sorry.
This person that you're hiring, this project manager, you can actually take that expense for their paycheck and write it off to an administrative cost against your ARPA funds, if you wanted
Project
to.
manager for one
Yeah.
of these projects?
Yeah.
The grant
And the same with GrantWorks fee, right?
Yes.
Your GrantWorks fee you can write off under project number 7.1, which is administrative expenses.
So this grant administrator that we're hiring,
You can do the same.
okay,
Now, it's only going to cover, right, until 2026. Then after that, then you're going to have to make a decision on where that person sits.
And again, is it only if the person only works for the ARPA grant? We have hazard mitigation, we have, I don't know how many grants so it's all grants that this person will be working for.
Yeah.
I would think that's a
Right.
You'd have to split it up.
Yeah.
And you have the option to do whatever you want to do. If you want to split it up into threes, that can be done as well.
So if the money isn't all spent by when?
2026.
2026, then it stays in, it goes.
You give it back.
Yeah.
You give it back to the treasury. So my job is to make sure whatever you choose follows compliance under 2 CFR 200, follows the procurement policies. And since it's federal funds, we have to look at it like it as a grant and follow those procedures.
So what is the process then? Commissioners Court decides we need a new X. It goes to the county auditor or to the liaison that we're gonna hire. Then
Right.
it goes to you and you,
And I say yes or no. Yep. And here's the expenditure category we're going to place it under. And there is an expenditure category for each one of these that we're talking about today.
And let me clarify.
Yeah.
My understanding is that we will take grant applications, and then we'll forward those grant applications to you. Is that your understanding?
No. No.
we just decide.
No. If you decide that you need 3 new ambulances for your county EMS, then you would go out to bid and get the bids attached, and you would choose which ambulance company you were going to purchase them from, and then you would turn over the paperwork to me and it would be paid.
For example, we don't have county EMS.
Okay.
But we could.
Yes, you could. You could start a whole new EMS. Yep. And there are other counties that are doing exactly that.
Those are the ESDs are nonprofit entities, which is covered in the rank.
Okay, so let's go on to, nonprofit. Remember.
But it's a taxing entity.
Huh?
It's a taxing entity.
Some of them,
But
It's not fully nonprofit.
So.
I mean, so let's take a look at the bigger range. Harris County, they got something like $74 million. They took 42 million of that and granted it to Catholic Charities, who is a nonprofit. Catholic Charities then on their website decided to, with Harris County, they decided to give out checks to everybody under a certain income level in the county. How they did that, they maintained that number, how much they were making, and then they gave out, all I had to do was call and say, my name is Lori and I make under this amount, here's proof, and I could go get my $1,500 check.
Sounds like a laundering scheme.
Yeah, kind of, yeah, it does. But anyway, that's how they handled it with nonprofit. I don't know, you'd have to talk to Harris County about that.
All right, private individuals
Okay,
go to
so-
jail for that.
Emergency management services, public health surveillance, enforcement of public health orders, public communication efforts, enhancement of public health data systems. Let's say you don't have a reverse 911 and you want to install one, you could install one under this. Enhancement of healthcare capacity, like those building on to an existing facility, if you have them. Substance abuse services, mental health services. I know the city of Denver just went out and bought like 4 or 5 ambulances, and what they're doing is they're going around and really nothing to do with COVID, but it is mental health related. They're going out to the streets and picking up the homeless people and bringing them into the ambulance as a place to feed them, water them, and then release them, let them sleep a while and then release them again. So they're using some of their money for that. And that was absolutely fine for them to do that. Let's see, enhancements of public health data, capital investments, we talked about that, ambulances, communication components, vehicles, any other equipment associated with EMS, fire, sheriff, hospital, or any other essential workers. Essential workers meaning all of those that I just talked about, safety, health, and people like gas stations and food and government workers and everybody that was essential during this time, that was at work or at least working from home during this time. Okay, so that's number 1, that's public health. Number 2 is premium pay. Premium pay is picking up from what we were just talking about, going out and giving each of these people, moving forward. I wouldn't suggest going retroactively because probably the records aren't going to be there in full. But moving forward, everyone that worked, and this is just an idea. Everyone that worked during this period that you can prove that we're on your payroll during this period and we're working from home, or putting in extra hours. A lot of people put in extra hours, they didn't get paid for it. You can go back now and pay them.
We've already been down that road.
Oh, you have?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, yeah, well, so that's what's considered premium pay. Okay.
I want to go back to this essential thing. So basically what you're saying is the folks that were considered essential and worked and got paid all that time are in consideration for this again.
Yeah.
And the people
Yeah.
that were considered non-essential and got screwed the last time get overlooked again.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
Go say your roof.
That's,
Who's considered non-essential? I mean, define that.
I don't have to define it, the government did. The
Well,
government did to shut down businesses.
Oh, yeah, well,
Yeah,
that's,
that's what I'm
that,
talking
this is gonna pick up those businesses that were shut down, because this covers not small business. So if you had, so let's talk about that a minute. If you had a small business that closed because you didn't have enough people coming in, or because everything was done online now instead of coming into shopping, whether it was a restaurant or whoever it was, you can go back and provide, you can set up a grant. We talked about that word before, for those folks to come back in and get money out of this account. The problem is that GrantWorks is not their person. You're our person, right? You're our customer. So if you set up a grant with small businesses, and let's say you put, I don't know, let's say you make it available to 10 businesses that have gone under, and you're making a grant at a very small interest rate, if any interest rate, and putting it out there, and they have to write the grant, it's between you and them. Okay, not between them and
They come up
me.
with their own grant writer.
Yeah, so you'd have to come up with an idea on that, but yes, you can do that. Those people that were, you know, that were not considered essential.
That's going back to the same thing I talked about before of government
I
picking
know.
a specific business and giving them money, basically. I mean, how do you, I don't see, that's
Well-
against the law.
It
used to be. Yeah, I don't want to step with that.
No, I don't.
Okay, so that's number 2. Number 3 on the list, where are we? Oh, infrastructure. So number 3 on the list is infrastructure. Infrastructure has no ties to anybody. It doesn't care. It doesn't have any ties back to the certain demographics, certain income levels, anything like that. It's just a way to get infrastructure moving within our communities. So infrastructure meaning, and I don't know, but do you have water service that you have, or is it the city?
We don't have any water.
So no water, no storm water, no wastewater, no drinking water.
Stormwater, we
It's
handle
all city.
stormwater. We handle stormwater, we don't handle drinking.
Okay, so stormwater would be one that you could upgrade.
But let's just say if we wanted to look at putting a water treatment plant out in the county,
Yes, you can do that.
that would qualify.
Yes, because it's either under the Drinking Water State Revolving Fund or it's under the Clean Water State Revolving Fund. Somebody like myself from TCEQ for 100 years, I worked at TCEQ. Those two programs, whatever water you want to do, whether it's water conservation or whether it's energy conservation on your government buildings, all of that's covered as infrastructure. And the roads attached to the stormwater, not roads particular, not bridges or roads particular, but those attached to work that you're doing in stormwater.
The question is, you mentioned that, and we have done a recent sewer project, and we're still working on a sewer project, it's about a $63 million project. And the state revolving fund, Clean Water State Revolving Fund.
Mm-hmm.
The question is that how some of these other things like water, wastewater come under other grants. Why would you use this grant for that when there's other grants, or can you use this for the, I mean, how do they interact?
Well, this is not a grant. So it doesn't have all the federal, except for 2 CFR 200, it doesn't have all the environmental, NEPA stuff involved in it. It doesn't have anything unless you take your money and say, I want to use $5 million next to that stormwater project. because I ran out of money. I ran out of grant money, so now I want to take 5 million of this and move it over there to help pay it. Then it takes on the life of that clean water revolving state fund rule, which includes environmental.
Could you pay
So,
off debt under that?
can I do what?
Could you pay off debt under
No.
that?
No.
But see, what we had was under colonial rules versus doing it with this money, which wouldn't require that standard.
Right, so we could expand the current wastewater
Yeah.
project, so we could use it to pay for what we've already done.
Right. Right. And you can't support it. That's right.
Okay.
And then the last is lost revenue. That's the
Before
fourth.
we get away from
Oh,
that,
okay.
uh,
I'm back with you.
what about broadband?
Oh, I'm sorry, broadband. Broadband, yeah, any kind of broadband, any kind of fiber optics, any kind of anything they call it last mile broadband, so out into the rural areas. However, that was a couple months ago we were saying that. Today, since I think it was State Bill 8 that passed last week, or was signed last week, and it goes under this CARES Act, under section 604, there's a capital investment grant that is available to anybody who wants to request. That state bill that was signed by our governor last week cleared the funds for that.
So how does I understand that's infrastructure, how does a county own and operate broadband? Does the county build it and then
Yeah,
turns it over to somebody?
yeah, you
It
could
has
do
to
it
be
that
run
way.
by somebody.
You could do it that way, or some people are just running it as their own utility type broadband.
We've had conversations with LCRA.
Uh-huh.
I've had inquiries from Hill Country Telephone,
Uh-huh.
Midstream, that would want to contract with us to build out that broadband.
Nice. You know, I think this is going to be something that is really big in our areas here, since this funding was passed last week. Because it's like $500 million more funding that you can go and ask for a grant. So,
That's the state bill you're talking about?
yeah, State Bill 8.
So we could get, so we don't need, I mean, can we use the 10.2 million for this?
Yeah, yeah, but
We
I think
can
you'd
also
run
get-
out. I think you'd run out.
Right.
You'd run out of money, yeah.
You'd run out of money.
So you go, but there's a $500 million. Does the county apply for that, or does?
The county applies. It's the CARES Act.
You write the grant.
Yeah, the CARES Act is, the ARP rule falls under the CARES Act, it's section 603. This follows under the CARES Act, section 604. It's got some fancy name, but that's what it is. It's capital infrastructure, and it's large projects and a lot of money.
So what are the risks or clawback or us beholden to the federal government with some kind of rule that you have to find for us?
To be honest with you, clawback, you were supposed to do a report. The first report for counties was due the end of August. Did you guys do it?
We turned in the expenditure report because we haven't had any, but we did not have to do the report because our population was not high.
That's right. And so your next report would have been the October 31st, right?
Which got extended.
Which got extended. And why did it get extended? Because they're not ready.
Right.
Treasury's not ready to do any. I mean, I can't imagine them being ready at a certain point unless you're really high population in the country. I think those are the ones that are going to have audits. That is my opinion. That's our team's opinion. It's my job to make sure that what you choose on your justification ties back directly to COVID all the time. All the time. If we can tie it back to COVID, then we should have no problem with clawback. The only
And it
question
sounds
that,
like see, the thing is, what you've explained to us is
Yeah.
very loose. So, and I know what Mission Creek is, I know how the government operates. Well, this means that now, and infrastructure means childcare and all this sort of stuff. So you could get tagged pretty hard if you're not very careful. And the looser that, and to say that the odds are they won't audit us.
Well, what am I supposed to say? That we
I
should
don't
be.
know what you're supposed to say.
Well, I mean, I think that, as grant works, we are going to make sure that you, if you are audited, that your ducks are all in a row, period.
That's what we want to hear. That's what you want to say.
Period. That's why you hired us.
That's right. That's right.
Well, you know that I talked to a guy one time and he was doing cold cases because suddenly they had funding for it. I asked him, I said, why are you doing this now? He says, because we suddenly got this funding dumped on us.
Oh.
Well, that means you go back in time and you find out
Yeah.
all these things that we hadn't found out before because now there's funding for it.
Yeah.
I don't want that happening with us, that somebody says someday, well, we went through all the big cities, all the big counties and everything, now we're gonna start searching for the change in the cushions and go to these little towns. I don't want us to end up in a,
Yeah.
and that could be years down the road.
But what are you talking about building? I mean, what are you talking about? Because
I just don't trust the federal government,
I know.
okay?
You're gonna find that's pervasive in this area.
Well, yeah, no, it absolutely is, and honestly, but that's what I'm like. Well, I don't know what to say on that side of it.
No,
The only thing
none of us has a crystal ball, but those are the things that we have to think about. We have to
Yeah.
consider them.
And I think that if you choose something that's on the list, I mean, what are they going to, they can't come back to you because they've given you a list. Well, this is totally acceptable, and you would report it under this expenditure code. So if we have that, and plus all of our ducks in a row as far as paperwork, invoices, 2 CFR 200, checklists, and everything lined up, let them come.
What about, and I understand that, but the list, the thing that worries me is as long as it ties back to COVID, and that seems very
That's loose.
unclear.
Well, when I say ties back to COVID, I mean there is a compliance and reporting guidance that Treasury sent out. And in it has this expenditure. Maybe I should give you my copy. Do you want to make some copies? This is the expenditure categories. And as long as you fall into here, they are going back to COVID. Okay, that's what I mean by that.
Well, I want to ask you a specific question. Right now, we need generators in the county because of communication.
Yeah.
We found that out during
Yeah.
Big Freeze.
Yep.
Not to be used for somebody that's dying of respiratory illness, but it's not retroactive. We didn't have it then. In the future, somebody could have COVID, and we would need communications with them. So you tell me, is that a proper use of the funds to get the generators that we need?
Yes.
Okay.
And there's a couple of counties that I'm working with as a project manager that have already started the process of installing them.
Sure.
Generators, chillers, filtration systems, all of that.
Okay, water storage.
Water
Whether you're
storage.
sick or you're well and or you have COVID, you need water, right?
Uh-huh.
So
Yeah.
you can get water storage equipment?
Yeah, water storage is part of this.
Okay.
Treatment
Now,
and
but how that
storage.
pertains to COVID, it eludes me.
Well, because if you don't have water, I mean, it's a public health issue. So if you don't have treated water, it's a public health issue. And so that ties back to COVID being a public health issue. So yeah, it kind of all does.
Because both are in the same stable? Is
Yeah,
that
pretty
all there
much,
is?
yeah, yeah.
That's simple.
What if- maybe
For
we-
infrastructure, yeah, infrastructure is really an easy one to get past. Thank you.
At a conference we were at, so I'm not much better than that, I was at, and it was done by the National Association of Counties had it.
Mm-hmm.
They talked about parks and park improvement.
Parks, yep, I've got somebody doing a park.
Really?
They are,
have fresh air.
because remember what they were saying during all this stuff, get out and exercise, you're stuck in your house, it's mental health. I mean, you gotta get out, you gotta meet people, you gotta be out communicating. So, one of the things they said was, clear out that undergrowth by the creek, get rid of it, put some sidewalks down, put some picnic tables up and make it a useful walk. And so people are doing that, not a lot of people in Texas, because we may have other needs that are more important on our list, but it is definitely one that's listed.
Ms. Gelson,
Yes.
I think what you're gonna find is that Kirk County, at least my perception of this commissioner's court, we're gonna want things that are undisputed, indisputable. If you use the golf metaphor, we want it right down in the middle of the fairway. We don't want to get close to the rough. And so we see the list, and we see the categories here, and there are times when it makes our head spin that many things could be somehow related to COVID. I understand where Commissioner Blue's coming from. But we have a lot of needs in this county, and it's going to be difficult for us to decide which ones to address, but we want the major ones. Infrastructure for me is particularly attractive because that allows us to provide for essential needs and services that we've been unable to fund. And in terms of figuring out which businesses are going to get how much money because they suffered during COVID, is much more subjective than these objective infrastructure
Right.
needs.
Right.
And I'm just sharing with my fellow commissioners, that's kind of where I'm coming from, is let's look at the things that are just indisputable.
I agree. So at this point, we just need to figure out what the county needs the most, and then you're gonna make sure that we're,
Then you're gonna send me your proposal, and I'm gonna take a look at it, and I'm gonna say, check, yes, it's expenditure category number, whatever it is.
so in the meantime,
Mhm.
that we, say we hire the person we're looking for, you're gonna communicate with that person who's gonna also talk to the auditor, report back to Commissioner's Court. How much benefit would it be that person has written grants? How much, would that help you at all? Their knowledge of it? I'll take that as a-
Yes,
Okay.
but again, you know, somebody who is able to listen, ask the right questions, is just as capable,
Okay. That's good.
right?
to know.
Because we are actually going to be running the protection of your rights side of it. We're looking at 2 CFR. We're looking at if there's an environmental project and it somehow fixes with NEPA somehow, we're going to be looking at that. We have whole teams that look at this stuff. So we want to make sure that everything is correct, and so there is no clawback in 5 years. And that person, maybe it's good for them to know what it's all about, but it's not necessary for them to be an expert in grants. They need to be able to work with you, and they need to be able to ask the right questions.
We've got people at home that are watching this on YouTube, by the way. And so I ask people that want to speak to go to the podium
Yep.
and just to share that with her, if you would, please. This is
Yep.
Jackie Dowdy, our county clerk.
Just pretty quick, one way I think in order to mitigate COVID-19 in the clerk's office would be to make all of our land records available, accessible online. Because right now we only have like 1997 to present. And so in order to do that though, I've found that we need a new records management system, a new one entirely. EDOC is not going any further, it's not getting any better. I can just tell you that right now. So that includes, you know, software, equipment, IT stuff. But I just wanted to throw that out there. I think that would be very helpful for this community.
And I'm going to use that as a segue to, I think the best way for the court, this is just my thinking, is we're going to have a lot of worthy proposals,
Correct.
projects.
Right.
And we're going to need to screen that. And that's what I'm looking for our grant administrator to be able to help us with. And be able to come to this court and make recommendations to us so that we can get you the ones we've selected. And then you are going to cover our backside.
Yep.
And have all the documentation to make sure we don't drift foul somewhere.
Yep.
Because, you know, we're paranoid about the fallback.
And I agree with that, I totally agree. But if this is something that we could incorporate in,
And that's a perfect example of something that I hadn't thought about, but I understand where you're coming from, and needs to be something that this court considers, because we're gonna have to choose between a lot of worthy causes.
thank you.
Now, Judge Kelly, when she was talking there, it came to my attention that you should also then find someone who knows this area. who knows the needs of your community.
Yes.
10.2 million, like blood in the water, there's gonna be a lot of proposals coming in.
That's right.
A lot of hands out and stuff that we're gonna have to
Have you done a survey?
prioritize.
Have you done a survey to your community?
No. You
Some
got a
of our,
sample survey that we can do?
yeah, we do. We have surveys that we could provide you with, and basically you would want to put it out on your website. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
People have gotten very
That's
attached to
right.
these YouTube
That's okay.
publications, so I'm
I'm
trying to
good.
keep people from hearing.
Okay, so if you did a survey, you could put it online, and then in a certain period of time, let's say 2 weeks or 3 weeks, ask everybody, announce it, and ask people to choose what they would like to have done. And give them a list of about, 10 different things that are reasonable. And then see what your community wants. Maybe that would help you limit.
Well, I can tell you that, or if we send this out.
Oh, yeah, that's
put
too
this
many.
online,
That's too many. That's too much.
Everybody in town,
I know.
in the county, will have something that they request.
I know, that's too much.
That's too much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is
So-
just for you to see, to get an idea.
And so, if you got, and really, I look at this workshop today as help us get a framework of how we're gonna approach this issue.
Are you interested in a survey then? 'Cause I,
Yes.
okay.
But it should be, my suggestion is, instead of being too specific, it should be topics like water availability, broadband expansion, so on. Big topics, and we'll get the top 5 and go from there. Anybody have an objection to that?
No, but I think that the, a lot of what we're talking about, this court knows a lot of, there's things we don't know about, and I said we don't want to list others. We have a good idea for some of them. I think we have some of the things we're exactly talking about, we're ready to do a bond issue on.
Yeah.
Well, so is it better to take it off now rather than have the taxpayers have to fund it? Sure. It's a discussion we need to have. I see there's, the easiest one to look at, the West Kerr Annex. Well, that's going from the current building to a new building, that's not a public health issue. And that could be done. So I think we need to have a lot of discussion internally about I think we need to hone down where we think the money should probably be spent.
Yeah, but again, I go back to broad topics rather than some little, a list of 10 things that are.
Right.
And then there's some little things that can be done that could impact a lot of people. And I think that you gotta kind of balance out a lot of different things like that.
Does that public survey mention to the public that it has to be a COVID-related issue?
Yeah, it should.
Okay,
Yeah.
it's important because
Yes.
otherwise,
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
But I think that it's gonna be hard to explain to
Skating rink.
the public, it's gonna be hard to explain to the public what COVID-related means because
Well,
We
we put
can't
out the
figure it out.
categories.
I had a
that
tough time figuring it out.
Well, just for example, we've got a number of people here in the courtroom today. I know we have communications needs, especially with law enforcement. We went through this in the budget process. I know we've had some discussions with the LCRA. There are different things that are in the process right now. We talk about, we know we don't have EMS in the county. That's a huge issue. We don't have broadband out there in the county, huge issue. Or sufficient broadband out in the county. So we've got all of this stuff. My thought is we put out a survey because we need to get input back. I like input.
Yeah.
I like that transparency of
Yeah.
asking
Sure.
input from the stakeholders out there. And then we have to go through, what are we gonna do once we get the applications? And the initial thought that I had is those applications would go to our grant administrator. And the grant administrator would vet those applications, maybe grade them, rank them, comment on them, and then be able to come to us and make their recommendations or share their assessment. And be able to follow up with the applicants to find out, is there more information that we need? We need to get a little bit more information how this ties to COVID and be able to get it documented so that by the time we get it to GrantWorks, they're creating files. And we're gonna have these are gonna be files that, I guess it'll be digital files and they'll be available for the 10 years, it's a 10-year clawback period, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that's what we're really concerned about, we have to document it, so that if they come back to us, because we have healthy skepticism sometimes, but we don't want to take any chances.
Yep.
This is a wonderful opportunity for the county. We want to be able to make leaps forward, not just steps, leaps forward with this money. And we want to do it wisely and compassionate, but thinking about the future. Jeff, yeah.
Jeff Wendling, here as a citizen of the county. Thanks for doing this workshop, first thing. Second thing, the link back to COVID was made simple for a reason within the documents, as the lady has explained. When you read through the volume of material that's available, you'll see that doing the linkage to be able to create a solid platform for granting the money, if you will, or dispersing the money is going to be rather simple. And the safeguards that you've mentioned, Commissioner Blue, of course, we would all take that no matter what position we took. Even as a citizen, we want you to do that. I want to say something about the communication circumstance for public safety. I think I know all of you well enough, and you know me, and you know what my history is. This is a very unique time for you all to catch up, not only as a singleton, meaning the county, but also as a partnership with the city. And let me give you a practical example. You spent $1.5 million to put a P25 simulcast conventional radio system together for the sheriff's office. The beneficiaries of that system have been everybody, because that system with a handheld radio gives you 95% county coverage. It's on VHF. You do not want to leave VHF as your primary because of your topography. LCRA has an excellent system, and you and I have talked about that, Judge. They have many counties, blah, 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 that their system services. This area, years ago, when I came into the city in 2005, we made a decision that all infrastructure would be VHF. And the reason is, once again, is topography. So as we move from analog to digital, which is P25, it's a standards-based radio format. We've improved our communications dramatically. When I came here in the city in 2005, I worked to set up our city system, which we did in a couple of years, and we ended up getting a broadband COPS grant from DOJ, 68 wonderful pages I wrote, and Rosa remembers that, of course, and we got $375,000 to finish that system. Okay. Today, what's a practical example of use of the money? If the city and the county can sit down and work together in a conference, the city's having one conversation, you're having another conversation. You already have 1.6, you already have 1.5, where you have 4 tower sites and a 5th tower site which runs all of your backhaul, which is your microwave and things like that. For $1.6 million, you could take it to a 6-channel trunking system. What does that mean to you? That means 6 channels give you the capacity to run volunteer fire, police, sheriff's office, and public works, and anybody else you want to put on there, and it's expandable later on down the road. The other thing that you need to do, really and truly, as a practitioner here, is you need to create multi-band. So you need 700 and 800 megahertz, which is Kendall County, Gillespie County, Bexar County for your specialized units like counter-drug and counter-terrorism and your intelligence units, so that they have the ability to talk and have situational awareness. At the same time, you need the VHF infrastructure to talk to everybody else that's VHF within your county and your jurisdiction. Department of Public Safety, every agency pretty much that we work with here is VHF. City, most people don't know, before I left there, I bought a lot of multiband radios, and they never programmed them on 700, 800 LCRA as an example, which is what Kendall and Gillespie utilize. They never programmed them, so they never had the benefit of knowing what it sounds like, what it feels like, and how they utilize it. We went so far as to get Kendall County Sheriff Oxler to put VHF components in all of his patrol vehicles so he could talk to us, because they're on 700, 800 at LCRA, and our two counties couldn't talk to each other. There's too much minutia here for today, and I'll go on for hours, as the judge knows, and I don't want to do that because it spoils it. But you have a unique opportunity to upgrade this radio system and buy what we call subscriber equipment, which is your mobiles and your portables, and get this county back on track. It's way behind. Is it anybody's fault? No. It's because you don't have a radio administrator. You don't have anybody that's looking out for you. We try to, but it's sometimes difficult to get people to make decisions, plus it costs money. So I'm here today, moreover, as your Regional Interoperable Communications Coordinator, which I'm grant funded. I'm granted by, the grant is worked by the STRAC, and I've been doing this since, I don't know when, the last 7 or 8 years. So I just want to encourage you to consider that. I'm available for the conversation if you ever need me. I want to be part of it if you let me be, because there is a practical solution, and city and county joining together would really benefit. Thanks, sir. Thanks, sir.
Well, and Jeff, let me build off of that.
Yes, sir.
A lot of the things that we're talking about,
Yes, sir.
there are going to be other grants available.
No, sir.
Well, on some of these things, there definitely will be.
Well-
You're just talking about communications. I'm not addressing your specific.
Yes, sir.
issue.
Okay.
What
Yes,
I'm
sir.
talking about, there are a lot of areas where there are other grants available, like wastewater. We
Yes,
know
sir.
there's other grants available.
I'm sorry, sir. I thought you were talking about Commonwealth.
No. What I'm talking about, though, is we want to pick smart.
Yes,
We
sir.
want our choices to be smart. And if we pick something, and say infrastructure, that we know we have other grants available, we might be able to build out a whole EMS system for the county. We know this is not going to be able to do it, but this could be the seed money that gets us started to be able to build an EMS system for the entire county.
Well, you just hit on something I'm concerned about, and that's this. Anybody here ever go into a store with a coupon and you ended up spending money anyway? I really don't want us to do that. I don't want us to have this as a big down payment and then end up the county spending more money on top of it. So I want us to be careful to stay within the amount. And not that I don't think it's a great idea for us to do some of these bigger projects, and when you say, well, we can do a $15 million project for 5, sounds good, sounds tempting, but I don't think we ought to do it that way. That's for my part.
We have to get down in the weeds and all this stuff down the road, once things start coming in.
Well, we know we're gonna have requests from volunteer fire departments. We know we're gonna have requests from law enforcement, sheriff's office, that you represent here. We know we're gonna have all of this. We know, and we now know that the county clerk has something that she's gonna present to us. We're gonna be bombarded with a lot of really good stuff. And what I wanna do is to stretch that dollar as far as we can to get the most bang for buck for the people. That's what I'm trying to do.
Yep.
You know-
I want to add to that, bang for the buck, but also, I look at it as a way to improve and enhance existing things rather than open up a whole new, go
Yes.
down a whole new road. To me, you're looking at cost forever. Whereas if you enhance and do some things that we're already kind of looking at and can fund it this way, to me, or things that we've neglected, talk about air quality. Like, the first thing that comes to mind is anyone that goes out to the FMG Defense Center is air quality is horrendous because of that dirt floor in that whole building. So, and you try to walk, you can't keep the dust out of the main hall. So, I mean, there's a lot of things I think we need to kind of look at. I'm just not,
I hear you, and then we got Ms. Nelson here. If we decided that we wanted to concrete the floor at our ag barn at the Youth Event Center,
An indoor facility.
because it all has to do with, hang on, that's what-
I'm thinking
But more, that facility is used by the KSD as an emergency evacuation center.
That's what we're
Bingo,
saying.
that's what you need.
Okay. It's used as
Okay.
for health clinics all the time.
Okay, so there you go. There's your justification back to COVID.
Okay.
So, what I'm gonna ask you to do is, after we do this, I'm gonna send you a survey, and we're gonna get that out, and you can either decide to do it or not decide to do it, it's totally up to you. By that time, I'm hoping that maybe somebody will be on board as a project manager, so that we can start going through that person can go through the survey for you, and that person can do all of this for you. And then make the recommendations accordingly. Anything that you do, anything that you put forth to GrantWorks should have a justification and an approximate cost. Okay? So, the floor for the ag building, the justification is exactly what you guys all just mentioned. Just lay it out. It doesn't have to be long, it's just a summary of what you're using it for and how it ties back.
I would ask that when we do that survey, and I agree it needs to be general categories, but I want one block that says it has to be COVID related, but one idea that's not in this survey. I'm asking for ideas for anybody who's looking at it. There's an idea out there we're not thinking of. And we've got a county of people educated enough to throw something at us we haven't thought about.
So, in other words, an other.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Yes, ma'am. No, just a block for other,
Yeah.
yes.
okay.
Needs to be needs over.
Yes.
Okay. So far on that list, by the way, on my survey, just from listening to you, I've got water availability. I have an EMS management system, a whole new EMS team, emergency management services, if that's what you're gonna call it. I have broadband. Do you have any broadband up here at all?
Yes.
Yeah, so you're just expanding your broadband.
Yeah, there's a whole system of broadband.
We are very challenged topographically in the
Uh-huh.
western part of the county.
Uh-huh.
Very hilly, very remote.
Fiber optics, do you have fiber optics?
Yes, but
Yeah.
not throughout the county.
Yeah.
Hill Country Telephone Cooperative, Spectrum, Time Warner, there's all kinds of infrastructure that people are tied into and homes are tied into. And there's different arrangements, probably still got some old coaxial cable coming off the front.
Yeah.
Because of the expense of redoing everything.
Yeah. Other, so I've got 4 on my list.
Did you want to include the records management as part of the survey, or is that just an idea that y'all already know about? You don't want to do that?
I think it's something you would submit.
Okay, so y'all will do that.
That'd be your response to, sir.
So can you be
Okay.
more broad than just records management and say something like, it's a software upgrade, so it's a countywide software or IT upgrade?
Yeah.
Something like that, and that would be a broader, yours would fit into
Whatever
that
y'all
question.
want.
Well, that's what we're
As
asking.
broad appeal as possible, because if you get too specific,
I agree, yeah.
nobody's gonna vote for you.
Well, I need IT on it, so, but
Some of the items that we put on our agenda for the workshop, and I just want to bring these up so that if there is discussion about it, we want to hear it. Procurement documents.
Mm-hmm.
What procurement documents?
Okay, so so my question to the county is, do you have your own procurement or purchasing manual that you can share with me? I need to make sure that it matches 2 CFR 200.
Do the you're saying no, Tony. so-
Oh, and I misunderstood, I thought she said a person, so we might need to look at what our processes are right
Yeah.
now and certainly upgrade for any, because I know there's been recent changes to the procurement rules.
Yeah, and normally especially if you've had other grants, I'm sure you've got a procurement guidance,
We do.
a manual. So just electronically send it to me, and I'll send it over to our procurement team, and they'll look at it side by side to make sure that what you're following matches 2 CFR 200.
Okay.
Okay, that's just a compliance component.
Okay.
Is that a general thing, Tanya?
Yes.
Yes.
If not,
departmental. There's, departments have those too, right? It's all encompassing?
We're getting to the point where we need a purchasing agent, without a doubt. I'd just like to throw that out there right now. The general rule is you call the auditor's office and it's under 50,000 and, you know, does it have to go out for bid or not? So that's the general rule.
Right.
So when we start talking grants, that becomes what the challenge is, because each grant has different rules that they have to follow, which makes it even harder. So if it's a state grant, I know you have to follow state rules. If it's a federal grant, you gotta follow federal rules. And
Yes,
there's
ma'am.
something in there that says you have to follow the rule that's the most stringent all the way across the board.
always.
And so, again, it's an area that definitely we could have improvement in.
Now, I have a document, I have a template that, I mean, it's a big, thick template that
Yes.
for counties. I'm happy to send it to you and have your attorneys look at it and see what they think,
Excellent.
okay?
But the takeaway for this court is, we need to make sure y'all coordinate this procurement process. The next one we had on here was environmental review.
Environmental review is if you, and I think we've covered this topic already, if you use the funds to side by side on one of your existing projects through the Clean Water State Revolving Fund, it has to go through an environmental review. So I just wanted to share that with you because in the interim final rule itself, it says all through it, environmental is not a part of this. Unless you attach yourself to something and then it
Got it.
takes on, because it's more stringent.
Right. Reporting. How are we gonna work with y'all on reporting?
Well, now reporting, normally what GrantWorks does is you give us everything and we do the reports for you. Unfortunately, this time around, we cannot do that. Because Treasury, it's not like a grant where they give you lumps of money throughout the 3-year program or whatever it is. Because they gave you so much money up front, they're very protective of who goes in and who has access to that. So whoever got the money, whoever went into the Treasury and asked for the funds, who did that? Judge. So I don't know who you put on there as far as the reporting person.
Well, don't turn me loose on the computer.
See, this is trouble. Oh, you're the reporting?
That's the reporting.
Okay, good. So,
Trouble?
so I will work with her. I will work with her to make sure she has all the documents and everything she needs to report correctly.
And so we'll coordinate the reporting.
Yes.
And with our grant administrator, that will be the transition point person for you too.
Yes.
Okay.
And I think we've already talked about the project list. We see a lot of stuff that
Yep.
ought to be projects. But what else do we need to know?
Contract. Where are we on our contract? Do we have a signed contract?
Yeah,
Okay, all right.
I saw it, do
I just want to make sure that I've got it back to you with our signature and I'll execute
That
it.
I don't know.
Okay, I can find that.
Okay, and the way we're gonna do this, I've got Rosa Lavender here with us today, who has been a grant administrator for many years and has helped us work for the county in the past, and is retired. And she's gonna kind of help us temporarily so that we can get our full-time grant administrator hired. We're still in that process.
Okay,
And so if you would hang around afterwards, I want
Sure.
to be able to sit down and visit and follow up with some of these things so that we are kick-started today and moving forward.
exciting.
And that's
Good
what
for
we really
you.
wanted the public to know, and that's why we publicize the workshop on YouTube. It's for the public to know that we're getting the tools in place to be able to move forward with these funds that the federal government is providing.
It moved forward in a direction that benefits this county. Right? Not somebody else, but this county.
Discount.
Judge, and another thing that, I know that you and I have several meetings, several topics that we need to try to get on with this, city manager. Have a meeting with, economic development is one of them, some other things. I think that we need to add this to that list. Because I think that there's areas like communications especially, that it's gonna make sense for at least, know what we're doing. And for example, say that we decide to fund deal with some additional funds, and the city decides to do it, well, we need to coordinate. I mean, for some of these things, I think it's at least, they need to know what we're looking at, and we need to know what they're looking at. Otherwise, it's gonna.
Sure.
Yeah. It'd be wasted money.
Waste of money.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I don't think they're using GrantWorks. If they've even gone out to bid, I don't know.
They're not.
They're not using
This was
GrantWorks.
city finance lady right here, just sitting right here.
Uh-huh.
She came in here when you had to say.
Yeah. So they haven't done anything yet? They haven't gone out to bid yet, or they're waiting?
Going out to bid for what?
Oh, they're just gonna do it themselves. They're gonna self.
They haven't made a decision.
City of Kerrville hasn't been awarded any money,
Yeah.
City of Kerrville?
Yes, they got 2.1.
but haven't been awarded.
I mean,
They have-
I thought they got the money, no?
They haven't received it.
No, they haven't.
It- they're-
But
they're
they've gone
a
into
smaller
Tatum,
population.
they've gone into Tatum
Yeah.
and made their request to it.
They got 5.2, and we're gonna get half, right?
But they haven't got anything
They
yet.
haven't been awarded anything.
It's coming through the crops, as I understand.
And
It's coming through
for
Tatum.
the public, that's probably confusing, but the county, this is all done on the basis of population. The
Yeah.
county has over 50,000 population, about half of which are in the city. But the city didn't make the threshold to be able to get the funds directly like we did. They have to go through Tatum to get the funds,
Also,
which is the Texas
yeah.
Department of Emergency Management.
Yeah, all cities have, in Texas, go through NEUs, the non-entitlement areas, and so they are all of that treasury money went to Tatum, and then it's being divvied out through Tatum, whereas counties went directly to treasury.
But we still want to coordinate. They have different chain of command to go through than we did.
Yeah.
Will they have the
Yeah,
same criteria?
perfect.
Yes,
Sorry?
same criteria.
Yes.
Same criteria, oh yeah, same criteria, just less to work with.
Same rule.
And once they get their funding, after the funding is theirs, they still report the same place we do through Treasury.
Same mechanism, same audit mechanism.
Same audit mechanism.
So if we did something jointly, the funding might come at different times.
Well, you'd have to make it, if you work together on a project, the answer is yes, in terms of this distribution from Treasury
Do you want to be up
through
there?
the state mechanism, or in your case, directly from your coffer, directly to the project. So yes, you'd go through the same RFQ, you'd get bids, you'd have the discussion, you'd make a decision what you're gonna do. So you're correct, it might come at different times.
And honestly, I think the interim final rule does mention these kind of conditions as subrecipients. So let's say let's say you sat down with the city and decided you're going to give them $2 million. They would become a subrecipient to you, and you or that project person would run their grant.
Yep.
The same as I'm running your grant, that person would run that grant.
Grant is not the word you really want to use in this situation. This is not grant.
This is fund,
This is funding
yeah.
for projects that meet the COVID criteria. So from
Thresholds.
thresholds.
Yeah,
Well,
that's it.
and the criteria in the link back. I mean, from rescue vehicles to communication to fire needs to ambulance needs to all those kind of things. And it's a very, very simple linkage, but with the cautions that you all have learned to respect. So you'll have an easy time of doing this once you take that first step.
Now, you said recipient, not recipient, so that means
Subrecipient.
you're getting something back.
Sub-recipient.
Subrecipient, you're getting something back from them?
No, you're giving them
What's the
something, and then you're running the rule with them directly.
If we did a communications project, like I mentioned earlier, and the city said yes, because you've already put 1.5 in there, I would advocate from the city to pony up, whatever it takes, that kind of thing. So the money, if we were gonna be the project manager, which I would encourage us to be, since we own the backbone system, then they would give us money and we'd put it into that system and to do that project.
whenever it showed up.
Yeah. But-
Yes, sir.
But the city could earmark that money, they wouldn't have to be a recipient from us, they could earmark that money for the project, like she explained it.
They would transfer the money.
2025, you have it, so if we put in your 2027, so what was it? 26. So yeah, if we earmarked, 2.1 for a project and the city said same thing, maybe they didn't receive the money immediately, but it's earmarked for the future. As long as that money is earmarked for it, it can be utilized in that project. They don't have to be a recipient of our project.
It's obligated.
Yeah.
It's obligated.
So that's, yeah, exactly.
Obligation of the money is gonna be key. Y'all are smart, and I know you haven't had a chance to read the 2,000 pages or whatever it is, but you'll need to be cognizant and mindful of the obligation necessity, and that's gonna be key, and then you gotta follow through. Otherwise, you won't get the second 5.2, or 5.1.
Well, I think everybody with the county knows that I like a plan. So we're gonna adjourn here, close this workshop. But I do want to follow up with my auditor and with Ms. Gelson while she's here, and Ms. Lavender. We're gonna meet and we're gonna start a plan moving forward so that we can build on what we've done here today.
Okay,
So with that, court stands adjourned.
thank you.